Hello friends, welcome to Way to Knowledge Hub. Subscribe the channel. In this video, I am going to discuss the most confusing terminologies in library science like main classes, facets, normative principles, canons, basic principles, notations, etc. Do not confuse these words. Learn carefully. You will understand everything. In this video, we will learn about canons. What are canons? In library science, canons are fundamental principles or rules that guide the organization, management, and operation of libraries. These canons help ensure that libraries function effectively and efficiently, providing access to information and resources to their users. Some of the key canons in library science include canon of classification, canon of cataloging, canon of selection, canon of bibliographic control, canon of circulation, canon of reference service, canon of preservation, canon of ethics. Now we will find out the definitions of law, canon, and principle. What is law? Law is the correct statement and is used in major disciplines such as laws of library science, Newton's law, etc. Law tells us what we have to do and what not to do. Canon. Canon means a general principle or standard by which judgments may be formed. It also means a body of writings which are accepted as genuine. Ranganathan has used the term in the context of divisions of first order of the major disciplines such as cataloging, classification, book selection, etc. Principle. Principle is a rule regulating the procedure or method necessary to be observed in the pursuit or study of some art or science. Ranganathan has used this term in the context of divisions of the second or later order of the major disciplines such as principle of facet sequence in classification and principle of alphabetization in cataloging. Now we will find out exact meaning of canon. What is the meaning of canon? Dictionary meaning is a generally accepted rule, standard or principle by which something is judged. In classification, canon would mean a rule. Canons for classification means rules for classification. History of canons. The word canon first used by W.C.B. Sayers in his Canons of Classification. E.C. Richardson, American librarian, used the word criteria in place of canon. H.E. Bliss, philosopher and designer of classification, USA, used the word principles. Ranganathan, father of library science in India, again used the word canons. In 1937, Ranganathan written a book named Prolegomena to Library Classification. In this book, canons are used. Ranganathan separated the work of classification in three planes. The canons are accordingly provided for these three planes. He formulated 43 canons for all the three planes of classification. The canons are involved in the designing of a classification scheme. Canons are three categories: idea plane, verbal plane, notational plane. Idea plane related to thoughts and thought process. Verbal plane related to written process. Notational plane. Notational means translating to codes like numbers and symbols. Idea plane. Idea plane is a plane of foremost importance where core intellectual work is done. Mostly the work here pertains to the choice of the model, defining the subject, its scope and sources of terms and concepts. Core classificatory work is the choice of characteristics and order of their application to produce categories of concepts called facets and isolates. Further, it is to arrange the isolates into arrays and chains. Ranganathan formulated 15 canons for idea plane and divided into 5 sets of canons as follows. Idea plane. Canons of characteristics. Canons for succession of characteristics. Canons for formation of arrays of classes. Canons for formulation of chains of classes. Canons for filiatory sequence. In this first one, canons of characteristics again divided into 4 categories: canon of differentiation, canon of relevance, canon of ascertainability, canon of permanence. Canons for succession of characteristics are three canons: canon of concomitance, canon of relevant succession, canon of consistent succession. Canons for arrays are four canons: canon of exhaustiveness, canon of exclusiveness, canon of helpful sequence, canon of consistent sequence. Canons for chain of classes: canon of decreasing extension, canon of modulation. Canons for filiatory sequence: canon for subordinate classes and canon for coordinate classes. Now, second category, verbal plane. Four canons are formulated for work in verbal plane. These canons are helpful for the classificationist and the classifier in the correct interpretation of terms. These deal with language and terminology aspects in the classification scheme. The terms used to denote the isolates must indicate the context and should be current in usage and should not be critical. Ranganathan not only himself coined many new terms, he also formulated many principles for coining and display of new terms. I said earlier, the first and foremost quality of any terminology is to be free of homonyms and synonyms. Following are the canons he formulated for the purpose. Canons for verbal plane: canon of context, canon of enumeration, canon of currency, canon of reticence. Canon of context means its theme. Canon of enumeration means the meaning of enumeration in a calculating way. Canon of currency, currency meaning latest. Canon of reticence means don't go, controversy worse. Third category, notational plane. The term notation denotes the artificial language of signs and symbols which is used in a scheme for classification for translating the words and classes of natural language enumerated on the basis of the work of verbal plane. To design a qualitative and effective notation, Ranganathan has formulated and prescribed some canons for the choice and design of a notational system. These are canons of notation, canon of homonym and synonym, canon of relativity and uniformity, canon of hierarchy, canon of mixed notation, canon of faceted notation, canon of coextensiveness. Canons of notation. 24 canons formulated for notational plane are further divided as follows. Canons for notational plane, 12 canons. Canons for mnemonics are 5 canons. Canons for growing universe, 4 canons. Canons for book classification, 3 canons. Friends, in upcoming videos we will learn more concepts in library science. Please subscribe and share my channel and encourage me to do more content. Please like this video and do comments for maximum reach. Thank you for watching.